We are going to be going through lesson 12. We'll be going through unit 3, lesson 12, how to move sprites today. Hopefully you are following along as you're supposed to, because if you don't do your sub work, unfortunately, you will not be able to do your next project, which would kind of suck for you. All right, so let's take a quick look. Again, unit 3, lesson 12, how to get our sprites to move. All right, so as always, I'm going to make my screen a little bit bigger. I'm going to turn my grid on just because I like to. All right, now it says the pattern is counter pattern. The pattern is one of the most important codes in all of programming, and there it is. And you can see it's purple, so we know it's going to be in our purple drawer. It's used to increase the value of a variable by 1. You might call it the counter pattern, since it can be used to make a variable that counts up. You'll use this pattern a lot, especially with the draw loop. Let's see what it looks like. So do this. Let's see what we have to do. The program creates a variable counter and then uses the counter pattern to make it count up. When you run the program, what do you think you'll see on the screen? Read the program, make a prediction, run the program, and then discuss with a neighbor if you can just figure out what it was that you observed. So we have a counter that is set to 0 and it's a variable. Inside my draw loop, I have background, which is white, text size that says counter, and then it says text counter 0 to 400, and then it says counter equals counter plus 1. I'm thinking maybe something is going to be counting upwards from 0 to 400. Who knows? But let's find out. All right, so it's going to count up from 0 through 400 question mark, because again, this is just a prediction, so it's okay to be wrong. So let's see what happens. We run this. What we see is, yes, it's counting, but at the same time, my text is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That's kind of nifty. And it didn't just stop at 400, and it's continuing to grow larger and larger and larger. All right. So we have some idea of what the counter pattern does. It kind of looks like it's just continuously getting larger and larger as it continues to expand. Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and hit reset, and we're going to go ahead and finish. And again, that one was just a prediction. Moving on to bubble number 2. We have our Game Lab friends, and we are going to go through this video. It's about a minute.
You can animate with sprites too. To do this, you'll need to update their properties inside the draw loop using the counter pattern. For example, this program creates a sprite called MySprite. Then, inside the draw loop, it uses the counter pattern to increase the sprite's X position by 1 in each frame. This makes the sprite move smoothly across the screen. Adding a second sprite to a program is easy. You just use the create sprite command again. This program animates 2 sprites called Sprite 1 and Sprite 2. Sprite 1 uses the counter pattern to move across the screen by adding 1 to its X property. Sprite 2 moves down by adding 1 to the Y property on each tick of the draw loop. These sprites have lots of other properties, but our program only needs to deal with the ones that are changing. Sprites already help you write more readable programs, and they are going to be extremely helpful and powerful tools for making fun games and animations. So stay tuned.
Our science ship is under fire. All right, so you can always go back and take a look at your video. It is in your code.org, but that is the basics on how to use the counter pattern. All right, so let's take a look at bubbles 3, 4, and 5, which are our practice area. I'm sorry, our instructional area. And then you'll do 6, 7, and 8 on your own. All right, it says using the counter pattern, you can write programs that animate sprites freely. Adding or removing from a sprite's X or Y property in the draw loop makes your sprite move just a bit each time it's redrawn. Do this. Read the code that makes the jet go up the screen. Add code that makes the plane move to the right, as in the sample image. So we see the jet moving up and the plane moving over. So first thing I always like to do is see how the program actually runs before I do anything to it. And we can see the jet's moving up. That's not a problem. But then we don't see the plane moving at all. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and reset that. And I'm going to get rid of my instructions because I know what I need to do now. And we have these gray boxes. These are just kind of notes so that we kind of know what to do. And it says, move the plane over, add your code here. Awesome. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set a variable of x equals. So I'm going to assign a variable and I'm going to add it there. And I am going to go into my sprite drawer and I am going to be moving the x direction because x goes across, y is up and down. I'm going to need my math drawer to find my counter and bring that over. All right, so the first thing I need to do is make sure that I change the name of the sprite because there is no sprite named sprite. My sprite is named plane. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change on line 12 of the code the word sprite to plane. And then inside over here, I am going to go ahead and say my plane dot x and then plus 1. And hopefully that'll work. So again, I created a sprite. I renamed my sprite. I told it I wanted to change the x location. And then every time I'm redrawing the sprite inside the draw loop, I am adding one more to my X location. Because again, that's what the +1 counter is going to do. So let's see if that works. And there it is. Now, if I want it to move a little bit faster, because my plane's moving really, really, really slow, what I could do is notice the jet has a 3. The bigger the number, the faster it's going to move, just so that you guys know. So now you can see that it's moving quite a bit faster than before. So again, the number will determine how quickly or how slowly the object is going to move. But now I'm going to go ahead and hit finish on that. And we're going to continue. Okay, moving to the left. If adding to a sprite's x coordinate makes it move right, how do we make it move to the left? Make your program animate the image like the one on the right. Update fly.x inside your draw loop so that each frame the fly is drawn is a bit further to the left. Tip, can you make your sprites move faster by adding and subtracting larger numbers? The fly in our example moves about twice as fast as the plane on the last level. All right, so again, now that I know what I need to do, I'm going to get rid of my instructions, make my workspace a little bit bigger, and I'm going to run my program and see what happens. All right, so nothing's happening. I have a fly, but it's not moving. So once again, I need to create a variable. I'm going to grab my sprite. Now, again, I want it to go in the X direction. And again, for those of you that are having a hard time with that, always turn your grid on. I want my fly to move across. And if I'm looking at how my numbers are changing on the bottom, my X is getting smaller. So again, I'm going to change the name of this to fly. Oops, get in there. Fly.x. And then I'm going to open up my math drawer. And if I'm going opposite, I am not adding 1, I am subtracting 1. So here in my math drawer, I'm going to pull over the minus. And I'm going to go in there and I'm going to say fly.x minus, and I'm going to start with 1 just to see how that works. Reset run. My fly is moving. It's moving to the left and it's moving kind of slow. So I want to make it go faster. So I'm going to change my 1, let's say to a 4. I don't know if that'll be too fast, but we'll see. That looks better. And again, maybe you want to put it in as a 2, maybe a 3, whatever. But again, the key thing is set your variable, bring in your sprite, so that way you're talking about what property you're changing, and then make sure you bring in your counter. So that's what we're learning how to do here. We're learning how to make these things move by putting this counting code inside the draw loop. Okay, so again, we are updating both the X and the Y properties of a sprite can make it move diagonally. Cool. You can use watchers under the code area to see how each property is changing. Do this. Read the code that makes the mouse go down, run the program, and look at the watchers to see which is happening to the X and the Y, mouse X, mouse Y. Add one more line of code to make the mouse move diagonally. Run your code and see. Look at the watchers. Challenge. Set the sprite's rotation property so that it faces the direction that it's moving. Okay. So I need the mouse to move diagonally from the top corner to the bottom corner. And ideally, I can even turn this mouse to make him look in the direction that he's going. Got it. All right, so again, I'm going to make my space bigger, turn on my grid. And as always, I'm going to run the program, and it said we can watch the watchers if we want to. And as I'm watching the watchers, notice my X is staying the same and my Y is going down. Or I'm sorry, I should say going up, because down is up on the Y, which is kind of weird, but that's okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and reset this. And I know what I want to have happen is this. So notice my cursor. My Y is increasing, but so is my X. Awesome. So how do I do this? I'm going to go ahead and grab my variable again. I'm going to change this to mouse.x because my mouse's X location also has to change. I'm going to go into my math drawer and I am going to bring in the plus. And in this first space, I want it to be my mouse.x because I'm changing the mouse's X property. And I'm going to make it +2 because the Y is +2. So that should hopefully match. I'm not sure. Go ahead and hit run. And now we see the mouse moving across diagonally as it should. And again, look at the watchers. It's just continuing to go up both at the same time. So that is a good thing. So now the challenge was, can we make the mouse rotation so that the mouse is facing the direction that he's moving? So can I make the face look down the screen? Well, I think we can do that. The question is, should it be inside of the draw loop or outside of the draw loop? Is it something that we need to constantly have updated? I don't think that it is. So I'm going to initially put it outside of the draw loop. And if I'm wrong, we can always fix it later because there's really no wrong in coding. It's just kind of, well, if it didn't work, go back and do it again. So I'm going to go ahead and pull in my rotation code from my drawer on the outside of the draw loop. I'm going to make it my mouse. And again, remember, when we are spinning in a circle, the up is 0, all the way down is 180. I want the mouse kind of looking in this direction. So that would be like about 135, I think. A rotation of 135 degrees. Could be wrong, but that's okay. Go ahead and print. Oh, okay. So he's facing completely the wrong way, but that's all right. So let's try a rotation of 45 degrees because obviously I over-rotated him. Nope, still not right. Can't figure out which way he's going. with his nose. Okay, so it's going to be a negative 45, I think. Oh, reset. Totally going to edit this piece out with me not knowing how to do this, but that's okay. Yeah, there it is. Okay. All right, so it looks like it was negative 45. I just couldn't quite figure it out. But that's okay because you kind of keep plugging away at it until you do. All right, so we are going to go ahead and hit finish. All right, so in bubble 6, knowledge is the key to the universe. It's a multiple choice question. You have 4 choices as to how the cards are going to move. What you need to do is take a look at the code. Be very careful in reading what is inside the draw loop and try and figure out, if you have this draw loop, which of these pictures would be the result. Okay. Bubble number 7. A, B, and C. You have a spinning, making sprites spin. Using the counter pattern, hint, hint, you're going to use the rotation tool. Debugging, there is a problem with your counter pattern. And rotational direction, again, making the gears rotate together. And then for bubble number 8, you are going to be using the counter pattern, make all of the fish move like the image on the right. Blue should be fastest, green should be slowest. And you will get that done on your own. And then, as always, number 9 are our challenges. And again, these are 100% optional. All right, so hopefully that helps. Ladies and gentlemen, you now have your time to work.